So let's go ahead and get into what today's subject is. And in a little bit of semi-personal details, I got a new job and I started summer school last week. So I may have to juggle that along with working a few double shifts to keep myself afloat. If you guys don't know my current financial situation, it's not necessarily the best in the world. So updates may or may not be a little bit late. I'm going to try and keep it to where it's no more than a day, but I just want you guys to know the possibility is certainly there. Life keeps moving and I got to keep moving with it. That's just the way it is. So with that said, I'll go ahead and start talking to you guys with a few updates that have come out this week. Mainly that you all know that episode 3 is during the very last stages of post-production. I have finished the cuts. They are pretty much done. We're working on color correcting. I've already sent off the copy to the composer and he's going to go ahead and take care of that. And I wanted to go ahead and mention something that's been coming up with the writing process for the next season. I've told you guys before during our last update that I have been working here and there on the story for next season. And one program that's been helping me a lot is this program called Freeplane. It's a mind mapper. I don't know if you guys have ever used those before, but it's basically like those bubble diagrams you used to make back in elementary school. The way that I used to call them, they were called bullshit bubbles because that's kind of how I felt about them. Nowadays, they actually are a pretty helpful tool. And yeah, this thing kind of works by making a big central bubble for whatever it is that you want. And then you can kind of create several other branches of things that can have their own branches to stuff. It's basically a giant cascading list of things that can have their own pathways into all kinds of stuff that you want to create. And the thing that I tell people most often is that as far as my writing style, not in terms of how I actually sound when I write or the dialogue or the tone, not necessarily what it is that I write, but the way that it is I come up with something where I take it from a big box of ideas of things that I want to do to the eventual story, the eventual script that I finally make is I'm a huge lister. I am a huge advocate of taking everything it is that you want to do and basically making out a giant cascading list of possibilities that can take you from A to B to C, and however it is you come up with ideas, that kind of being the process with which you create those bonds between those events. And so to give you kind of some perspective on that, I have come up with certain stories, not all, but some, where it's only been like the first scene. I've only had the first scene in my mind, and it's sort of been like, well, how do I take that and make it into an entire short film, an entire 10 minutes of story? And it basically is just me asking myself, well, what are the possibilities for the aftermath of where this scene goes from here? And it's basically me just kind of writing down A, B, C, D. And I usually don't necessarily have a certain finite amount of possibilities that I want to come up with, although sometimes I will. I'll say like, okay, I've got a great scene, but I don't know what's going to happen, so I'll come up with 3 possible ways that this story can keep going, and then I'll put them all down, and then I'll choose the one that I think is the most interesting, and then I'll choose that one, and then from there I have more and more possibilities of where the story can go from there, and so forth and so on, until eventually I kind of get to the very end. And so this program, it's called Freeplane. You can download it from sourceforge.net, which, by the way, I'm becoming a huge fan of. There are so many free programs on SourceForge that you can solve so many problems. I mean, it's a freaking godsend, especially right now with me being as broke as I am. You can take any single one entry and branch it off into 4 or 5 different things, and then take those 4 and 5 different things and take them wherever it is they want to go. And it's just a really helpful program that I found for me. I encourage everybody out there to check it out if you're ever in the writing thing, or if you ever have something, a kind of creative process that's similar to mine. You might want to check it out and give it a shot. And so far it seems to run pretty well on Mac OS. So as far as updates go, it's been kind of a slow week. And with everything that's been happening in my life, certain updates may not be as meaty, as juicy as last week's was, which is why I was trying to get that update done, because that really is kind of like our biggest, sort of most informationally compacted update that I really wanted to talk about. So from here on out, news may be kind of slow, but I will keep you guys updated, and I will try my best to keep it on time. So in any case, that is me for today. I will see you guys soon enough. Take it easy.